Hey, what's up guys, Weekly Light here, and today I'm going to be covering the recoil patterns of the exotic pulse rifles that I've gotten so far in Destiny 2, which are the Vigilance Wing and the Graviton Lance. There might be another one, but I'm not sure if it's out there. But I noticed that their recoil patterns are very interesting and are very different. I will also be comparing it to a legendary pulse rifle called the Einstein D or something like that. Einstein, something close to that. And I'll be using that as a baseline because exotics are known for being weird, so I will be using a legendary just for comparison. So what I did was I went to Titan and I found this nice wall with this green strip on it, and I stood a set distance away and simply moved right. I never tried to fight the recoil, so I never used the right stick to fight the recoil. I simply used the right stick to reset my aim back to the line between swapping weapons. But first, before we get to the tests, I should first state the stats of the guns I'm using. So the Einstein D has a stability of 50 and handling of 40, with a rate of fire of 320 and fires a 3-round burst. The Vigilance Wing, the exotic pulse rifle, has a stability of 73, a handling of 49, and a rate of fire of 530, with its special exotic perk granting it a 5-round burst. The Graviton Lance has a whopping 100 out of 100 stability, a 54 handling stat, a 630 rate of fire, and a 3-round burst. I'm stating the handling stat just to be safe. I don't believe it affects recoil in any way, but if it does, I just wanted to include it. However, the general trend that you should notice for both stability and handling, if it matters, is that the legendary has the lowest with 50 and 40 respectively, then the Vigilance Wing with 73 and 49, and then at the top is Graviton Lance with 154 stability and handling respectively. Some of you might find this weird because the Vigilance Wing, for anyone who's used it, it feels really stable and really accurate, almost like a laser beam. While the Graviton Lance feels really inaccurate and really jumpy and hard to land your shots in quick succession. So with a 100 stability, you would think the Graviton Lance would be much better than the Vigilance Wing. So that's why I did the testing here on Titan. So for the first test, I just did 2 hipfire shots and then 2 aim down sight shots. And what you'll notice is that the Einstein D just has your standard pulse rifle kicks upward and slightly to one direction. Nothing too fancy there. And then for the Vigilance Wing, you'll see that it does about the same thing, just with a longer trail because it's a 5-round burst instead of a 3-round burst. This 5-round burst means that it kicks more throughout the duration of the burst simply because it fires more bullets. However, the first 3 bullets seem to behave pretty similarly to your legendary pulse rifle, which suggests that there's not that much more kick on the Vigilance Wing as opposed to the Einstein D. However, when you get to the Graviton Lance, you'll see something pretty outrageous. For both the hipfire and the aim down sights, the spread is extremely tight. And especially the aim down sights, all 3 bullets are practically hitting the same spot. But when you're shooting, this doesn't seem to be occurring, and it seems to kick like a mule. I figured that the Graviton Lance acts just like the hard light in that it has a lot of extra visual sway or visual kick as opposed to actual recoil, which means that it looks like your gun is kicking up a lot even though the bullets are actually going perfectly straight. For the second test, I simply just fired as fast as I could while aimed down sights. And what you'll notice is for the Einstein D is it's a pretty tight cluster, but it moves to the left, as you'd expect for a pulse rifle. It'll probably move either to the right or the left. And for the Vigilance Wing, it had a pretty standard pulse rifle spread, except this time it kicked to the right, which is also pretty usual, because it has to go either right or left. Very few pulse rifles have no side-to-side recoil. However, the strings are longer because it is a 5-round burst and you have to keep that in mind. But overall, it's a pretty tight spread and it seems to have pretty modest aim assist to help you land those headshots. Then you get to the Graviton Lance and you see something weird. When you fire as fast as you can pull the trigger, each of the bursts are extremely tight and form a perfect dot pretty much. But each dot is about a meter higher than the previous dot. This is because the Graviton Lance has vertical kick, but it doesn't recenter after each shot. With the other 2 pulse rifles, after you take a shot, it returns back to center, but with the Graviton Lance, it just stays high. So this is why after the third shot, even though it's super accurate, it has the big mule kick, and then you're up high, and then it doesn't come back down. And then I did a third test here, just a side-by-side comparison of the three recoils, just so you can sort of get an idea of the difference in the recoil patterns. But overall, these two weapons are pretty exotic in their nature, in that one is a fabulous like bullet hose that's super stable and really good for PvP. At least I enjoy it. Its perks really fun, getting health from your dead teammates. And then the other one, the Graviton Lance, which should be perfectly accurate, but instead ends up being a pain to control. Because if you are on console, or everyone's on console right now, you don't have the accuracy of the mouse and keyboard, because right now, if you move down while the burst is going, your third shot will be too low and won't hit the crit spot. But then you have to readjust between each shot to move your reticle back down to the crit spot, which is a little hard to do on a controller. So overall, I'd say for the Graviton Lance, you might want to treat it like one of the slower rate of fire scout rifles, and just take your time between shots, ensuring that all three shots will land in the headshot, because that third shot does deal pretty decent damage. To me, neither of the two exotic pulse rifles that I have actually feel like pulse rifles. The Vigilance wing seems to me like an LMG from your classic Call of Duty, and is really good for just holding down medium distance hallways, and just hosing down it with that 50 in a mag, and the fast rate of fire. And the Graviton Lance feels more like a scout rifle than a pulse rifle at the moment, because of the weird kick mechanic and how you have to reposition your shot after every single time you pull the trigger. If there's another exotic pulse rifle in the game that I've yet to get, and I get it, I will try to update the video or make a new video comparing the recoils, or if any future expansions add new pulse rifles, I'll try to fix it out too. So thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe for more Destiny content.